On a December day in 2010, a produce vendor in Tunisia stood in front of a government office and set himself on fire, killing himself. His desperate action helped spark a revolutionary uprising that has come to be known as the Arab Spring. Today, we'll delve into the significant and transformative events that have shaped the Arab world in recent time. The Arab Spring refers to a series pro-democracy uprising, protests, and demonstration that swept across the Middle East and North Africa, beginning in late 2010. These movements were driven by a shared desire for political reform, economic, and an end to decade-long authoritarian rule. The term of Arab Spring signified the hope for a season of change and renewal, reflecting the aspiration of millions of people for a more democratic and just society. The root of the Arab Spring can be traced back to long-standing political, economic, and social grievances within the region. High unemployment rate, widespread corruption, and a lack of political freedom created a fertile ground for a discontent among the youth, who often found themselves marginalized and frustrated. The spark that ignited the Arab Spring came in the form of Muhammad Bouazizi's self-immolation in Tunisia on December 17, 2010, protesting police corruption and mistreatment. The events that followed Bouazizi's act of desperation were nothing short of historic. Tunisia became the epicenter of change, with President Zain al-Abidine bin Ali fleeing the country on January 14, 2011, marking the first successful ousting of an Arab leader by popular protest. This success resonated across the region, inspiring similar movements in Egypt, Libya, Yemen, Syria, and beyond. Egypt saw President Hosni Mubarak resign on February 11, 2011 after 18 days of massive protests centered in Cairo's Tahrir Square. Libya witnessed a civil war leading to the fall of Muammar Gaddafi regime, while other countries experienced varying degrees of protest and political upheaval. However, the aftermath of the Arab Spring has been complex and diverse. Tunisia, with its relatively smooth transition to democracy, stands as a beacon of hope. In contrast, countries like Syria, Yemen, and Libya have faced prolonged conflict, civil wars, and political uncertainties, highlighting the challenges of post-revolutionary transition.
I will explain about the factor of Arab Spring in terms of politics. Politics was a major factor in the beginning and the development of the Arab Spring, providing the spark of uprising across the Arab world. These uprisings were essentially political efforts driven by widespread dissatisfactions with the political structure, leadership, and governance practice that were in place at the time. In general, two fundamental problems in the area, which is a lack of freedom and widespread corruption, are the root causes of the growing instability in politics. The Arab countries are known for doing poorly when it comes to freedom, democracy, and participatory government as compared to their counterpart in Latin America, East Asia, Eastern Europe, and also even Central Asia. Despite the formal acceptance and codifications of democracy and human rights in constitutions and government declarations, the practical implementations of democratic principle has been largely overlooked and deliberately disregarded. Lasting authoritarian governments with tight control over political power rule over several Arab countries. People's desire for political change was spurred by the lack of political right, restrictions on their ability to express themselves, and limitations on their political participation.
I'm here to shed light on the economic factors that serve as the bedrock for the Arab Spring, a pivotal moment in history that rolled across North African nations.
Faraz Zamouri graduated from university with a computer science degree. But he doesn't plan on using it in his native Tunisia. He'd already be working in Canada, but he became sick.
first factor is the unemployment rates, especially among the youth, set the stage for the disconnect in countries like Morocco, Egypt and Tunisia. While the overall unemployment seemed around 10%, the reality was far grimmer, especially for the young and female workforce. As we can see in the history that decline in the manufacturing during 2010, sustained unemployment hitting the youth particularly hard. The demographic surge lead to a massive pressure on the job market, with over a third of the labor force being young individuals. This results in a sense of hopelessness and frustration among the educated youth.
Questions now being asked at this loss of $3.5 billion in market value today alone.
Second factor that I want to highlight is the global financial crisis of 2008, reduced foreign investment, declining tourism income to the economic woes in countries like Egypt, Morocco and Tunisia. Meanwhile, all exporting nations like Libya and Algeria face a different set of challenges due to their reliance on oil and gas export. Economic reforms supported by international bodies like the IMF and World Bank aimed at privatization in 1990s, but the 2008 oil price decline affected both oil and non-oil producing countries. In conclusion, the economic factors leading to the Arab Spring were complex and interconnected. High youth employment and the global financial crisis within the region all play significant roles. Comprehensive reform addressing unemployment and economic diversification beyond sectors like oil and tourism are imperative for long-term stability and growth.
The first social factor contributing to the Arab Spring is the youth. The Arab Spring was largely caused by the protests of young Arabs that were fed up with their country state and the lack of better future prospects. The youth factor is especially important because all the activities, especially for those in the secular sector of society, they were very harsh on young people because they thought that young people only cared about shopping and also their own religious belief and wasn't interested in politics or civic activities. So they thought young people didn't seem to care about politics. Many people thought that young people in the Arab couldn't be agents of change. Second factor in social is mobilization and activism. The Arab uprising were not Twitter revolution because people come together in the street and also use face-to-face social networks. However, there is no question that online activity was very important before and also during the uprising. Again, these kinds of activity wasn't seen very important before the uprising because people in the region were very excited to talk about all kinds of things on the internet because it seems like they're the only place that they could talk about the social, economic and also political issues.
Of widespread corruption. Widespread corruption turned out to be one of the main drivers of the Arab Spring. The Arab countries that saw disruptions were often characterized by high level of corruption, and the populace discontent with corrupt activity was a major catalyst for the uprising. People's anger at the aligned corruption of government officials and governing elites was another political factor that led to street protests. The ongoing brutality, humiliations, pervasive corruptions, and partiality have made the effect of long-term poverty and inequality worse. This may have contributed to the series of young uprising that Muhammad Bouazizi started, where in the morning of December 17, 2010, police has confiscated Muhammad's skill because he was working as a street vendor without a permit. He went to the governor at the Sidi Bouzid province government willing to seek solution, but his request was turned down. Protesting and driven by pure desperation, Muhammad set himself fire on the street outside. There was a great deal of corruption in the administration and police. Muhammad was routinely singled out by the police for working without the required permits, and was under pressure to pay bribes. He was given three options: whether give them the money, give them his whole day earnings, or risk having his merchandise, which include the fruits and vegetables that he sold.
So, what are the effects of Arab Spring in economic view? The lack of job opportunities, especially among educated youth, become a symbol of systematic issue in countries like Tunisia, igniting frustration and hopelessness. This frustration, compounded by income inequality and perceived injustice, fuel discontent and serve as a catalyst for widespread protests. Unemployment wasn't confined to one nation but echoes across Arab Spring countries. In Egypt, the disparity between aspiration and available opportunities led to dissatisfaction with the government, becoming a driving force behind protests demanding both political reform and economic justice. Next, the Arab Spring significantly affect foreign direct investor, or we call as FDI, due to perceived risk in politically environment. This decline had ripple effect, hindering job creation, stalling infrastructure project, and impending economic progress. As we know, reduced FDI impact technology transfer and knowledge exchange, critically for domestic industry. Egypt experienced pre-Arab Spring in attracting foreign investment, particularly in tourism and energy. But during the unrest, it impacting energy sector and project and hampering economic growth. To conclude, the Arab Spring taught us the vital importance of holistic economist policies. Let us learn from this lesson and strive toward fostering stable economies and inclusive growth for a brighter future.
Effect for Arab Spring in the context of social is the youth, education and also democracy. This social and economic state was a big part of how society changed, especially as it became more democratic. So, this happened 3 times more often in countries with young population in the 1990s than in other countries with older population. Other than that, the role of social media. During the Arab Spring protests, the government of different states tried to stop the violence by telling the protesters that their property would be distributed. But it didn't work because it took place in Egypt, Tunisia and Libya. The information floods happen when people watch what other people do, then decided to do the same things. So, if most of the people resist, the rulers are removed through a revolution. Information spreading is a key part of riots, which is why government that didn't fair today consider the information. The information flows model can be used to talk about their part that the internet and social media like Facebook and also Twitter that will be played in the Arab Spring. There is no doubt that the Arab media play an important part in the Arab Spring. For example, Al Jazeera and also Al Arabiya were 2 important TV stations that both helped to get the information and send news around the world.
Today I will explain the theories of concept of the Arab Spring. There are 2 theories of concept of Arab Spring, which is the relative deprivation theory and social constructivism theory. The Arab Spring, a series of revolutions in the Middle East and North Africa, was driven by the theory of relative deprivation, which suggests that people rebel and protest when they are perceived a significant differences between their expectation and their actual circumstances. This theory was applied to the Arab Spring, where people feel unjustified and revolt against oppressive regimes. Revolt began in Tunisia and Egypt, and the downfall of dictatorship in Tunisia and Egypt led to the gap between expectation and attainment, leading to the political reform. For instance, in Libya, which was spurred by widespread injustice and uprising of neighbor states, which in turn encouraged Libyan demonstrators to use their own uprising to impose a democratic government. Furthermore, the protests against totalitarian government, where people feel denied fundamental human rights and the freedom to express themselves, were defining a future of the Arab Spring. Though in theory these were democratic nations, in reality dictatorship led by individuals such as Gaddafi prevailed. This shows that an aggression in the form of protest results from the comparison of the nation with democracies. The high rates of inflation, injustice, and social inequality were the main causes of the Arab Spring, which result in demonstration for necessity. The second theory of concept of Arab Spring is social constructivism theory. Social constructivism theory is a social science framework that explains the Arab Spring, a series of uprisings in the Middle East and North Africa, by emphasizing the importance of idea, identity, and interaction in the human world. It suggests that reality is socially constructed through interaction, shared meaning, and norms rather than objective truth. Social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube play a significant role in shaping people's behavior and worldwide during the Arab Spring. The spread democratic norms through media technologies and social network, known as globalization, was a major force behind the uprising. The idea to create alternative roles and reconstruct social identity was shaped by human consciousness, and social movement had to come up with new ideas and achieve Western freedom. For example, using hashtags like Bahrain and Jan 25th in the social media such as Twitter, protesters in Egypt and Bahrain defined their movement, generating resistant icons and advocating for change and unification both inside and outside of their country.
Next, the recommendation. The first point is inclusive government and political plural. The Arab Spring sparked by discontent with despotic government, corruption, and inadequate political representation. One of the examples is Tunisian military that avoid the politics and is a result of the extremely and destabilize the nation. Based on the situation of the development and constitution to ensure the protection of minority rights and political freedom. Other than that, the constitution should reflect the aspiration of all levels society to ensure the interests of all citizens that are considered in the decision-making process. Besides the decentralization of power, this also prevents the power from being concentrated in other hand, one of central authority, while also helping to the important or remember that the Arab Spring also raised awareness of the call for inclusion and is a result to successful for implementing inclusive political system. The next point is diversification and investment of economy reform. Following the Arab Spring, diversifying economy is essential to lowering of a single industry, boosting the resilience and fostering in long-term economic prosperity. For example, the Arab Spring nation will highly depend on the industry like oil and gas that aims to create a more sustainable and resilient economy. It also inclusive economic development, such as identify and fund the development industry about the economy. Other than that, the innovation and technology hubs like this support the technology to promote the expansion of the knowledge based on the training and skill development or education program for the society. It also spend the money on education and training program that give pupils to skill required and develop more skill quality. Moreover, funding should be allocated to technical and vocational education that to grow the develop in society for transfer the skill and can be a employer demand. This also can help to address the need of economy and fostering the Arab Spring nation. The last point is inclusion in decision-making and empowerment program. A younger generation desire for the social fairness, economic opportunity and political change will reflect in massive youth activity and mobilization that mark in the Arab Spring. Actively include the young people in decision-making process of all levels in the government, including federal one. It also create the advisory boards and council to make sure that the opinion are considered when formulating the policy. Furthermore, the program for youth empowerment are essential. For example, it's also helping young people to grow their personality and make a professional, meaningful contribution to their community and society. This kind of the initiative can act as a trigger for constructive transformation in Arab Spring. It also create an initiative that provide young people can give a chance for personal growth, training in entrepreneurship, leadership skill, and it also include the promoting program of a skill building courses and encourage the young people to boost their economy and create a job in Arab Spring. In conclusion, the Arab Spring is multifaceted and ongoing chapter in the history of the Middle East and North Africa. Its impact, while profound, has been varied, with each nation grappling with the complexity of political change. As we continue to witness the repercussion of the Arab Spring, it is essential to recognize the enduring struggle, successes, and uncertainty that define this transformative period.